finally, it's the return of Jon Jones, and I'll be honest, I never thought that this was happening. I thought Jon Jones was done. I thought we saw the last of him when he won that last fight against Dominic Reyes and rode off into the sunset. And there was all of this chatter, and from him mostly, of him going up to heavyweight and doing his thing. But I always thought it was a pipe dream. I thought it was just wolf tickets. But here he is this Saturday, crazily enough. He's taking on Ciryl Gane, and not even going to go through the resume of Jon Jones. If you're watching MMA, UFC prediction videos, you know who Jon Jones is. You know he's arguably the GOAT, and if you don't think he is, then he's definitely up there, or he isn't your GOAT because he has those PED and other question marks you could say on his resume. But the guy's resume speaks for himself. 0 losses besides against Matt Hamill, and that was a DQ. So is Ciryl Gane the one to do this? I mean, there's all sorts of questions you can ask, right? What does Jon Jones look like at heavyweight? How does he deal with a guy who brings similar speed and footwork that Jones usually gave to his opponents, now being faced with that against Ciryl Gane? Because Ciryl Gane, to me, almost is like a heavyweight version of Jon Jones. He's very, very light on his feet. He's got the amazing striking. He just is sort of lacking in the takedown and just overall grappling acumen. And we saw that really work to his disadvantage when he lost against Francis Ngannou and was unable to unify the belt in that one. But the way he rebounded against Tai Tuivasa, I thought was quite impressive. He had all that pressure coming off the loss in his hometown of Paris, France, and was able to get the third round beautiful finish against Tuivasa in a fight where he looked really impressive, right? Like the strikes he was landing at the end, just how accurate, how quick, how smart they were. It seemed like every strike he threw, it was the right decision and the wrong outcome for Tuivasa, you could say. So what are your thoughts on this one, Meat? Do you think we're getting the same Jon Jones that we've always seen and he's going to come through and make light work of Ciryl Gane? If so, what do you think Jon Jones' pathway to victory will be? Or is this Ciryl Gane's time and the Jon Jones story is one of yesterday? Who are you taking?
Yeah, man, this is just such a tough fight because, yeah, like, is Jon Jones still Jon Jones? The Jones that we, saw when he destroyed Lyoto Machida in, both of their primes. Is Jon Jones washed up and, looking like JV football player, just like okay to average, fighter? I don't know, but this matchup absolutely tickles my pickle, as Jon Jones would say, because Jon Jones is coming at heavyweight, not light heavyweight. So this is just crazy to me to think that we're even seeing Jon Jones. Like, what a treat we have. And I feel like Ciryl Gane should win this fight. He's been the more active fighter, learning, growing, younger, hungrier. Jones has been on the back burner for what? Like, feels like a decade, but it's been only a few years, I guess. And he's been gaining a lot of size. So, like, will he still be as explosive? Will he have the great cardio? Like, what Jon Jones are we going to get at heavyweight? Is he even built for heavyweight? We just don't really know. So there's a lot of what ifs, but the only what if I know is Jones is the GOAT. So beyond that, I just don't know why he wouldn't win. I could see him losing just because he's been rusty, but I don't know. Until he loses, I just can't count him out. So I got to take Jones. I got to take him by finish, and I think it's going to be early and often and ground and pound or a submission.
So do you think that it might play out similar to that second fight versus Gustafson, where when he was able to get him down, he just got him in an easy work position and was able to get that second, I believe it was the second round finish. Do you see that happening for Gane? And a follow-up would be like, do you see Gane offering any sort of resistance on the ground and perhaps just showing some market improvements from the grappling deficiencies that he displayed against Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, that fight against Francis at this point was over a year ago. Gotta imagine at that point he knew exactly what he needed to work on. And granted, he wasn't going to need much grappling skills against Tai Tuivasa, but throughout the past year, any chance he's been refining those grappling skills and that will nullify Jones? Or do you just see this being like Jones versus Gus round 2?
I think it's going to be Jones versus Gus, but I'd be a fool to think that Gane has not been training grappling, especially for someone of his Jones pedigree. Like, that's foolish. But then you see these interviews of Gane saying, "Oh, I'm a lazy guy. I'm lazy." It's like, that's not what I want to hear. Or is he selling the narrative so him and the boys can cash in with juicy underdog odds? I just don't know anymore, but just my gut feeling is like, it's Jones. How can you bet against him until he loses? It's like Amanda Nunes. You just can't really bet against them until they lose, and like they just don't look the same. So until then, I gotta stick with Jones.
I feel you 100%, acknowledge all those points, and it's difficult to pick against Jon Jones. And what's crazy to me is that, we've been doing these breakdowns for going on 3 years soon, and we've never made a Jon Jones breakdown. So it almost feels like we're in some sort of parallel universe, even discussing and having to make a prediction for a Jon Jones fight, because crazy that we haven't seen him in so long, and we have thousands of breakdowns and never once Jon Jones. So interested to see how this one plays out for sure. And you mentioned Gane in the quote, "Oh, I don't even train very hard." I think that's all wolf tickets. I think he's trying to boost that number for the boys. And at plus 135, meat boy, I think I'm taking Ciryl Gane in this one. Like I just feel that if the Jon Jones that showed up against Thiago Santos or the Jon Jones that showed up against Dominic Reyes, if that guy shows up against Ciryl Gane, he's gonna lose. And I don't have much reason to think that the guy he was before those two most recent fights is better than what I don't see him being better at this point. And I think it's more likely that he shows up looking like he did against JV Baseball than he shows up looking like he did against Gus the second. So I'm going to take Ciryl Gane. I'm going to take Gane by a fourth or fifth round finish. And in those numbers, I think you're going to be getting crazy plus 1,600, plus 2,200 type stuff, because I think that that's kind of maybe a wild take to, one, ever think that Jon Jones would get finished, and two, think that it happens that late in the contest. But I think the speed and the striking accuracy from Gane is going to add up, and I'm taking Ciryl Gane in this one. But again, picking against Jon Jones is not something I would ever advise or would ever recommend. I just think that it's going to be the dawn of the new era, and Grasso is going to kick the party off, and then Ciryl Gane is taking the next belt back to France. But we'll see. Any chance that Gane gets this done?
Gane definitely could get it done. He should get it done. You have the old veteran, washed up Jones, but I just think Jones is something special. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. Yeah, I'm mind blown that, yeah, you're right. We have not broken down a Jon Jones fight, and that blows my mind. But I'm very excited we finally do, and I hope that he absolutely comes in for the boys.